This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Welcome, all ye faithful viewers. Be joyful and triumphant as you watch another episode of the Georgia Farm Monitor. Glad you tuned in. I'm Ray DeLessio.
Ray, I don't think that's the way the song goes, but it is Christmas time, and as Ray said, welcome. I'm Kenny Burgamy. Here's what we have in store for you today. If you have a lot of pine trees around your property, think of the future without pine cones and how much easier yard work would be. Meet a UGA researcher today who says he's making progress in that department. Also on the show, if cotton prices have you feeling a bit gloomy this holiday season, cheer up. Why one ag forecaster said prices will improve.
And then later.
Hey everybody, Ranger Nick here. Not sure if you've ever wondered what gardening and football have in common. We're going to tackle them both this month with a legendary UGA football coach. Stick around, it's all happening right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
If you're like most Americans and want to spend as little time as possible doing yard work, then pine cones are not a welcome sight. However, it's a problem that one researcher at the University of Georgia is trying to tackle as he looks to create the coneless pine tree. Damon Jones tells you about the process and how far along it actually is.
As any landscaper or homeowner can tell you, nothing is more frustrating to clean up than these little guys. However, that might soon be a thing of the past, as retired University of Georgia scientist Wayne Hanna is heading a project that focuses in on producing coneless pine trees. As for his inspiration,
8 or 9, 10 years ago, we got the idea from working in a yard one Saturday morning that pine cones were a little aggravating to be picked up every Saturday morning. So I decided that we would see if we could possibly take the pine cones off the pine tree.
Hanna, who is world-renowned for his turfgrass research during his 37-year career with UGA, is using some of the same techniques when dealing with his more than 4,000 slash and loblolly trees. The key, he says, is getting rid of the cones before they become a problem.
We're using gamma radiation to sterilize the tree, and our idea is the way I understand it is that if that little cone that's about the size of a thumbnail doesn't get fertilized, then it will fall off, and we see them on the ground. And so if it gets fertilized, then it grows into a large cone that we have to deal with.
While creating trees void of cones is the main goal of this research project, it's not the only one, as scientists are also trying to create trees that produce more pine straw and less of one more nuisance.
And also, at the same time, we're looking at pollen is a tremendous allergen for a lot of people. And so we want to sterilize the tree. Of course, there's going to be other trees out there that have been growing a long time that still produce pollen. But the new trees that we can plant, hopefully, won't produce any pollen.
While less pollen would help alleviate allergies, it might also help the tree itself, as diverting energy could make the waiting time for timber producers much shorter.
And at the same time, our idea was not only get a coneless pine tree, but get a faster growing tree. Our idea was that maybe if we could take the pine cone off and sterilize the tree, reduce the pollen, get rid of pollen production, that energy that's used to produce seed, cone, and pollen would be transferred into growing a tree faster than you could grow a tree now.
It's a new breed that pine straw and timber producers as well as homeowners will be eagerly anticipating. However, Hanna warns that while the nearly 10 years of research has yielded fascinating results, the finished product is still years away.
We're patient. We test it well before we release it, and this is another case where we're moving along, and there's a lot of interesting trees out there, but we want to see them a little bit longer before we make any conclusion.
Reporting from Tifton, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, thank you very much. In other ag news now, the University of Georgia didn't have to look too far to name their new Associate Dean of the Extension Program. Beginning January 1st, 25-year case veteran Laura Perry Johnson takes over the position left vacant by the recent retirement of Beverly Sparks. Dr. Johnson is currently the District Extension Director for Southwest Georgia, where she manages faculty, staff, and UGA extension programs for 41 counties. And of course, on behalf of the Farm Monitor staff, we wish her all the best in her new leadership role. Meantime, cotton prices will improve. That's according to UGA Ag forecaster Don Shirley. Looking ahead to the 2015 crop, Dr. Shirley says prices won't stay at these levels very long because the supply side will retract, and this, assuming demand remains solid or improves, should eventually pull prices back up. Shirley adds that cotton growers can see somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 cents as opposed to the current prices, which have remained in the low 60s. Meantime, the Southeast Regional Fruit and Vegetable Conference brings together many different specialty crop producers to learn about the latest issues and advancements in the fruit and vegetable industry.
Yeah, the conference isn't until January in Savannah, but work is done all year to make sure the conference is a success. The Monitor's Mark Wildman has a preview.
On January 8th through the 11th, fruit and vegetable growers from Georgia and other southeastern states will flock to Savannah for the Southeast Regional Fruit and Vegetable Conference.
Essentially, it's a three-day educational networking opportunity for growers, and any type of specialty crop growers, whether they're fruit producers, vegetable producers, roadside market operators. It's a vast opportunity for people to come, be educated, have an opportunity to talk with exhibitors, and network with other growers of the same commodities.
Healthcare laws nationwide have drastically changed, and at the upcoming conference, participants will have an opportunity to learn how these new laws will affect their operations.
What we're seeing across the industry is that a lot of farmers are kind of holding back to see what's going to happen. At the 2014 conference, we offered an extensive overview of the Affordable Care Act and the regulations. This year at the 2015 conference, we're going to be offering some updates of potential lawsuits and regulatory guidance that has come out, what that might mean for farmers and what compliance might mean. But I'm also very excited to be able to actually have some insurance providers there to give us some examples of what insurance coverage packages might look like for farmers to be in compliance with Obamacare.
Another hot topic each year is food safety, and growers will get all of the latest information on new regulations that will affect their farms.
I'm very excited that we'll have a representative from FDA to come and give some updates on the produce safety rule. They will also be giving overviews on their findings from the 2013 cantaloupe assignment. That was a really big deal here in the Southeast. So they'll be telling us what they found, some of the ways that they'll move forward.
The event also highlights specific commodities such as peaches, blueberries, Vidalia onions, watermelons, and other crops with their own individual educational sessions. Along with the educational sessions, a large trade show was held.
The Southeast Regional, last year we had 3,000 attendees. We've got about 300 booths and exhibitors in the trade show. 12 different educational conferences going on for the 2 days of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It varies based on commodity, which days those commodity conferences are going on. I think it's over 100 hours of educational hours of training and educational opportunities.
If you are a grower who is interested in attending, there is still time to register.
There's an online registration on our website, www.gfvga.org, our fruit and vegetable website. They can go to the Southeast Conference web pages, see the complete conference. There's a registration form if you want to register online. There's also hotel information of the various hotels that are hosting our attendees. So it's all online. Just go online and check it out.
I'm Mark Wildman for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, Mark, nice job as always, sir. Up next on the Monitor, see how Georgia Power is helping you, the farmer, save money on your irrigation bill.
And then later on the program, call him a late bloomer if you will, Ranger Nick spends an afternoon with the legendary Vince Dooley and gets the lowdown on how the former UGA coach became so passionate about gardening after football. Stay with us.
Christmas is all about patience. You learned that as a kid, waiting for the morning to arrive when you finally get to open those presents. But here's another kind of holiday patience, one that requires concentration and a steady hand. These 4-H'ers in Carter County are quilting, part of a club sewing project. Andrea Ortiz says quilting is a challenge, but she loves making gifts for family.
It's frustrating at the beginning, but when you start actually focusing on it, it starts getting easier and easier.
But it's worth the time and the effort. That's among the many lessons here. These young ladies learn to quilt by hand and with machines. Not only do they knock items off their shopping list, but they also pick up a handy skill.
It makes you feel like, oh, I can make something, and you can show it off to people and just stuff like that. And like the majority of the population can't sew, so it's like I can do something the majority of people can't.
The 4-H'ers are learning an ancient art, and in days of old, there was a practical reason for making quilts, to stay warm in winter. Of course, that's not a necessity in modern times, but it's still great to preserve some of our traditions.
What we're doing is repeating something that our ancestors used here, mainly to stay alive and stay warm. And these quilts are a part of that heritage and culture, and to teach young people this is exceptionally important.
This holiday quilting is part of a program called 4-H Block Party, which combines social graces and manners along with learning to be nifty with needle and thread.
They're learning the importance of following instructions because that's critical in quilting. They're learning how important it is to be precise.
4-H agent Vicki Clark led the block party sessions. She likes that the kids learn how much someone might appreciate a pretty handmade gift.
Coming up with gifts that you can give or holiday quilted items like the kids are doing with their little mug rugs today. It's a wonderful way to bring in a craft idea.
But while giving is important, these skilled quilters also get something in return. When the final stitch is sewn, their gift is a sense of accomplishment. This is Chuck Denny reporting.
All right, Chuck, thank you very much. Hard to believe that the Christmas season is here.
It is here.
Wow. Well, you know, we've reported in the past on the transition by many farmers from expensive diesel to grid electricity to power your very important irrigation systems.
Yeah, Ray, the Georgia Power Company doing their part in helping producers understand the benefits of their services and technology. For the third consecutive year, Georgia Power officials hosted their Lunch and Learn program in Cochrane. It's a chance for Central Georgia farmers to listen, take notes, and ask questions. Lynn Moses, sales manager for Georgia Power in the Central region, told me they found this to be a learning experience for both the producers and the power company team.
We have programs that help them with their rates in order to move them from diesel irrigation systems to electric, and we have rates for the farming industry, but we really are trying to help them be the energy expert and to make them as competitive as they can be in the industry. So we know how important agriculture is to the state of Georgia, and we want to be the energy expert to help them through those issues.
Joe Brownlee, manager of the Perry area with Georgia Power, said they use these sessions to help facilitate a variety of information and help guide farmers considering using three-phase power and the benefit of current tax abatements.
We realize that the ag industry is the #1 industry in Georgia. The folks in Atlanta don't always know that, but we know that. We try to take care of, keep these farmers as informed as we can, particularly with the new tax abatement. A lot of their pivots and their wells that were running off of diesel generators, now we're running electric service to it. Makes much easier the maintenance, and if their power goes off in the event of a storm or whatever, we'll know it immediately, where with a diesel generator, they didn't know those things. So we're trying to look out for them and protect our #1 industry.
And a farmer is a perfect example. When you've got an outage with an irrigation pump, it's critical that you get that reported. One of the ways that we have customers who are able to register their irrigation pumps, because it's hard to find that account when it's out in the field. So if you can register that, you can report those outages on your telephone so that you can get that information to us without ever having to call and pick up something. You can just do the smart device to do that. It's one of the ways that we partner with our customers to be able to let them communicate the best way for them.
Nearly 70 farmers came from around the region and and the state. And they glean new information, got updates from a variety of speakers like Dr. Mark Lattimore, Vice President of Land Grant Affairs from Fort Valley State University, James Mitchell with the Cheney Bush Irrigation in South Georgia, and State Senator Ross Tollison, Chair of the Senate's Natural Resource and Environmental Committee. State Ag Commissioner Gary Black also on hand to share his thoughts on the partnership he said he likes to see between Ag and Georgia Power.
You know, farmers are going to be the best to determine. They have the best determinants of how to, address the marketplace. So certainly, if it's competitive for them, and have a more guaranteed supply over time, they're going to make the right choices there. But there's been great advances in technology that maybe some competitive advantage, and certainly what they're discussing today. So we're hopeful. We're just glad to see good partners like Georgia Power that are willing to step up and be in their community and still meet with agriculture. And it's they've always had a good vision for the future of agriculture in Georgia, and we're just glad to help play a small role today.
Well, here's a reminder. If you missed any part of this story or others on today's show, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel. That's the Georgia Farm Monitor. Once there, browse the archive of stories dating back the last 5 years.
And of course, once you're done watching all those great stories, just keep on clicking, folks. Like the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page we have set up for you. If you have a story idea or if you just want to leave us a comment or suggestion, feel free to send us a message either on Facebook or at the address listed below. That is news@farm-monitor.com. Keep those likes coming. They continue to grow and grow. Well, next to football, his biggest passion may be spending time in the garden, but not just any garden. When we come back, former UGA football coach Vince Dooley gives Ranger Nick a tour of this exotic mega garden. Stay tuned. The Georgia Farm Monitor continues right after this quick break.
Well, when it comes to rubbing elbows with A-listers, he's done it all. U.S. presidents, Georgia governors, state senators, the list is endless.
Yeah, but nothing could prepare former UGA football coach Vince Dooley for the kind of energy he would encounter by spending the day with our very own Ranger Nick.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, in my role as Ranger Nick here with the Georgia Farm Monitor, I get a chance to do lots of different crazy, wonderful things. And today, I happen to be standing next to legendary UGA football coach Vince Dooley. Coach Dooley's here with me today. We are at his home right here outside of Athens, Georgia. And Coach, we've got a beautiful tree behind us here in your garden. And I'm learning more and more about your passion for gardening. Tell us what we're looking at here behind us.
Well, that's one of many specimens that I have, and that is truly a specimen. Yeah, this is actually a ball cypress, and this particular one is called Cascade Falls, and it really is kind of the crown jewel of the weepers. Because I'm so into it, not only do I have this ball cypress called Cascade Falls, but I have another little one right next to it, and that one is called Falling Water. Now, the question is, some say Falling Water is better than Cascade Falls, so I've got them side by side, and we'll see. Cascade Falls is a lot bigger and a lot older, and little Falling Waters is just ready to do his thing, so we'll find out. But that's what's fun about what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
Man, it's wonderful. Even in his retirement, the idea of competition comes out more and more. It's wonderful, Coach. We're looking at this guy back behind us. Talk to us about, I understand you've got a book about gardening, and your passion for gardening has just really exploded, has blossomed in the past few years. How did you get into this passion for gardening?
Well, I always say I'm an inspiration for anybody that wants to be a gardener late in life, because if I can be one, anybody can be one. And if I can write a book about something I don't even know anything about, I should be an inspiration for anybody that wants to write a book. So I think the basic is that the main thing about living around a university, if you've got a curiosity about anything, you can satisfy it because there is an expert on everything. And I have always enjoyed auditing courses. There's a lot of fun in learning, and I've always enjoyed courses in history, the Civil War, even took some art history courses. And I was always curious about trees and plants and thought I'd take one course and that would take care of it. one course led to another, and I got bit by the bug, and there's no cure for the infection. And so here I am. This is my golf, and this is my little garden, and I love it.
Well, folks, there's a lot of talk about farm to table and making things convenient and agricultural awareness, knowing where your food comes from. And Coach, talk to us a little bit about some of your plans to make things convenient here at your house as it pertains to your farm, your garden, to your table.
Well, there's nothing like fresh vegetables, and Barbara has been after me all the time. Why don't you grow something we can eat? I'm an ornamental guy. I've got all these millions of plants. And then when I finally try, she says, that is the worst tomatoes I've ever tasted. That's the worst squash. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let her be the vegetable woman of my garden. And I've got a garden planned right over here. Would you like
that's
to see?
good. Let's take a look at where this is going to be.
In fact, this is the soil. This is super sod. So this whole area in here is going to be Barbara's vegetable garden. And the great thing is it's only 5 steps from her car. So she can't have any excuses that it's too far out. It's going to be right here. It'll have plenty of sun. And she absolutely loves vegetables, and I do too. So this is going to be Barbara's vegetable garden, and I can't wait to get it constructed and get going with her. This is a great example of I've got a garden for all seasons, and I've got a variety of gardens within a garden. And necessity is a mother of invention. We had a drought. I had to dig a well. All of a sudden, an ugly pump. But I've always loved a Japanese tea house. So I got me a little tea house over the pump, and then I've got these little miniature plants. For instance, right here, this is a white pine, if you can imagine. Usually they're 70, 80 feet tall. This one's called mini twist. So you have a little small miniature type gardens within a Japanese garden, and that's what this is. And under here is your favorite, the little owl, which I got at Gibbs Garden. They've got these, they can't keep them. And I've got 3 different sizes. That's a miniature, or the middle one. I've got bigger ones and smaller ones. There's a mahonia called soft cress, and that's a nice mahonia as well. So anyway, it's another example of a garden for all seasons.
Absolutely, and an outstanding example at that, sir. Folks at home know that I love to wear my University of Georgia Extension shirt and support our Extension agents, not only here in Georgia, but around the country. Have you ever relied on Extension for information to help you in what you're doing here in the garden or in the past?
Well, absolutely, when I first came to Georgia, because the Extension Service makes the university all over the state. And so when I first came, I went to the head of the Extension Service, a fellow named Hoop Eberhard, and I told him I needed your help because we're going to do some recruiting in all of these counties in the state of Georgia, and I needed some kind of contact. He said, okay. So we said, meet me at Rock Eagle. We're going to have our annual meeting down there this summer. And so he charged every one of the county agents. He says, this is Coach Dooley. He's the head coach of the university. You all work for the university, and I expect you to help him. And I'll tell you, they all did, despite the fact some of them are a couple of Auburn graduates.
Hey, that's all right.
It's all right. So anyway, they really helped us early on. Probably the first 5 or 6 years really helped us in recruiting throughout the state when that was legal to do. You can't do it now, except you could go to them and they can give you information and keys to who might be the key in a particular county.
What a joy it has been today, Coach, to hang out with you here in the garden and get to hang out and learn things from you about so many of these plants. Thank you so much.
Look, I want you to come back. You've only seen half the garden. And besides that, I can always use an extra hand. I got a shovel or a few that you could help me with. So there's a lot to see here, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you very, very much, Coach. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to these stories with the Coach and I today. Remember, enthusiasm's contagious, so pass it on. And I don't know if you can tell, we've had a great time together today. Keep the emails and the tweets coming, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Can't wait to see you again next month. We'll see you.
All right, once again, big thanks to Coach Dooley for allowing us to come out to his home. And unbelievable spread out there. It really is gorgeous, gorgeous garden. Unfortunately, that is going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Well, as always, a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm. Check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's happening in the world of farming, plus here on the Farm Monitor Show.
Take care, everybody. We will see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Enjoy your week.